Hey everyone, welcome back to My Unprofessional Opinion Podcast. I'm your host, Angela. So for today's episode, we're going to be talking about something that I know I definitely have dealt with a lot, and it really sucks, but it's when you're feeling ignored or rejected by somebody that you think should really care about you, and you're like, why are they doing this? Why are they treating me this way? What did I do? Did I do something wrong? Okay, so I'm just going to kind of set up the scene a bit. So just imagine, or if you've dealt with this, just put yourself back in that moment. In this, I'm going to be talking more so about like family or really close friends, someone that you're really close to, someone that you think should really care about you, but for whatever reason, they're not doing it how you think they should. So whether it's them being distracted when you guys are together, maybe they're on their phone, they're watching TV, they're on a computer, they're just really not paying attention at all. Or maybe they never want to spend time with you and you're like, why? What did I do? Did I do something wrong? Why don't you even want to be around me? So I know the first scenario is something that I can definitely relate to. Like one of my biggest pet peeves is you're with somebody, you're having quality time, but they're so distracted. They're on their phones, they're watching TV, they're just really not paying attention. And I'm like, listen, if you would rather use that, then why am I here? You know? And it's not a fun feeling. Because when that happens, it's like, it can just bring doubts and it could pop into your mind that it's like, I'm not good enough, I'm not worth it, I'm not loved, I'm not valuable. It's like, whatever it might be, they might be there, but they are not true because you are so worthy, you are so loved, you're so beautiful. You're not trash, you're nothing like that, because when Jesus died on the cross, he took away all that shame. And as hard as it might be, you just need to block them out. You need to bring them to God to guide you and give them to him, because you need to believe that the God of the universe, the savior of the world, he died for you. He loves you. And although people will disappoint you time and time again, whether they're the quote unquote best person, they're the nicest person, whatever you want to say, people will always disappoint you, but God never will. And I think one of the hard parts is you could be a really optimistic person. You could be someone that tries to see the best in everybody. And whenever these situations come up, it can just turn into being naive and just almost blind to the situation. So I know it can be hard to hear because you want to think highly of your family. You want to think highly of the people close to you. You don't want to believe that someone would do that to you, that someone would treat you that way. But it does. It happens all the time. It happens on big scales and small scales. Sometimes it's more obvious. Sometimes it's more frequent, whatever it is, but it does happen. Like, I'm not saying don't look at your phone at all, because I mean, we're practically addicted to these things. It's just nature really to look at them. But I think when you're spending time with somebody, you should be present with them. You shouldn't be checking your social media. You shouldn't be texting random people. You should just be there with that person because you're spending time with them, and you should be present in that time, because whatever's on your phone, it can wait. I mean, unless it's an emergency, then yeah, you should probably answer it. But if it's just scrolling aimlessly through your news feed on some social media site, that can wait. It will still be there. It's kind of crazy. Things on the internet, they're there. You can check them now or in 20 minutes and it will still be there. Crazy stuff, I know. Also, that was sarcasm. If you didn't know that, figure it out. Because I think it's really just having respect for the other person, being considerate of their time and their feelings, because just imagine you're them and you're talking to somebody and they're not paying attention to you at all. They're just looking at their phone, or they're watching TV, or they're doing something else that they're not even paying attention to you or the conversation. Maybe I'm just overreacting, but I'm pretty sure someone else can relate to this. Because if that's the only time you have with that person or group of people or whatever it is, be there, be present, because time you won't be able to get back. Like I said, whatever's on social media, that will still be there. Whatever show is on will probably be on again, because reruns run so much. If you're really more concerned with what's on social media or who texted you or whatever's on that screen or whatever's distracting you, why are you even with that person? Why are you spending time? Because I don't know, just inconsideration is just really, I don't know if that's like a pet peeve, but it's definitely one of mine. So going off of that, I think that it's really important to know how to be aware of it, because sometimes it's not as obvious. Sometimes there might not be any quote unquote major red flags, but someone who really values you and your time, they're going to put in their effort. You're not going to have to beg them to talk to you, which is really sad that some people have to do that. And I definitely think that if that's the case, then that should be a red flag, because Like I said, someone who really values you and your time, they're going to make an effort, and, it might not be as much as you'd like, but if you have to beg them every time, then that's a problem. And I think it's so important to know that you are so much more valuable than trash or however you feel when you're upset, because sometimes when you're in this situation, you can just feel really bad. You're like, oh, what did I do? Am I not good enough for this person? Why are they not interested? Or whatever it might be. And it's really easy to get down on yourself. But you are so much more valuable than that. God made you in his image. It says in Genesis 1 verse 27, so God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. And although it might not be easy to understand all the time, God created you so beautifully, so purposefully. And I think that that's a good idea to just really cling to that in those moments when you're having doubt, when you're having insecurities or whatever it is, because God doesn't make trash. He made you and he has a plan for your life. Because like I've said before, at the end of the day, even the most quote unquote nicest people, the best people, whatever you want to call them, they're going to disappoint you. But God never will. I've said that before. I'm going to say it again. Even if you want to say that this is the best person or the nicest person or the most considerate person or whatever it is, at the end of the day, people are sinful. They're going to disappoint you, but God never will. And when you're feeling ignored or left out or whatever it is, I think a lot of times questions can come to your mind like, why is this happening? What did I do? Did I do something wrong? Whatever it is. Because I think sometimes we can take advantage of the people that are closest to us, just thinking that they're always going to be there. They're never going to leave, which is really not a good thought to have. But I think a lot of us have thought that way, because it's a lot easier to leave a friendship than leave a family member, especially if you're still young and you're living at home and it might be a parent or a sibling or whatever. You can't just walk out a lot of the time. Because I think it's also like, you get to choose who your friends are, but you really don't get a choice who your family is. So with your friends, you might be one way, you might be super chatty, you might be really engaged in the conversation and what's going on and want to spend time with them, want to hang out with them, whatever it is. But then you come home after a long day, you're tired, you don't really want to talk to anyone, you don't want to do anything. So it's not a good thing, but I think a lot of times family can get pushed to the back burner. Because maybe it's not as exciting as your friendships or whatever. Like I know when I was little, I always wanted to follow my sister around. She's my older sister, and I'm sure a lot of times she probably wanted to punch me or kick me or whatever because I was probably bugging her. And she was hanging out with her friends and I'm just like the dweeby younger sister. But I think it's just the same thing, like just knowing that I would be there. So I mean, that's obviously not a healthy relationship. That's not a good thing that's happening. And it can hurt because I don't know about you, but when it's happened to me, I can just get upset. Just thinking, how can they do this? Why do they not care? Am I not good enough for them? Am I not entertaining enough for them? Am I not interesting enough for them? Just seeing someone who really should be one of the people that loves me the most, basically not even give me the time of day. And I have to beg for a conversation. I have to beg for interaction or whatever it is. And that's not healthy. Whether it's a family member, a friend, whatever it is, that's not right. And that's not how it should be. So then how can you deal with it? How can you try to fix it? Can you fix it even? What are some more practical steps that you can take? So I think one thing is you can make an extra effort. You can try to be the bigger person. You can reach out to them first. You can really just try to build a relationship the best that you can. And I'm not saying that's easy because it's definitely not. It's not easy to be nice to the people that aren't to you. In Matthew 5 verse 44 it says, "But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you." And yeah, that's definitely not easy because it's a lot easier to be nice to the people that are nice to you, but it says you're supposed to love them, so try your best to do that. Ask God to help you love on those people. And I think something else is you can encourage any positive actions that they're doing towards you or to anyone really for that matter. Because just like when we were kids, we all love positive reinforcement. We want to be told we're doing a good job. We want to be appreciated for what we're doing. And also just like if you had a dog, when they do a trick that you're trying to train them to do or whatever, you give them a treat or you give them something that they'll really like, so they do it again. And I think that that's a good way to think about this. If this person comes to you and they just want to have a conversation out of the blue, I mean, it might be a little weird at first, it might be kind of awkward, and you're like, well, what are you doing? But take that time, take that moment to build a connection, build a relationship with them, and encourage them for making the extra effort. I think that you can also just try to talk to them about the situation. If you're feeling like they're ignoring you, they're not really even caring about you at all, you can talk to them, bring it to their attention, because I think a lot of times that when we're in a moment like that, the other person is obviously really focused on themselves, so they might not even know that they're upsetting you. So if you bring it to their attention, then hopefully that'll work, and hopefully that they'll make a change, they'll make an effort to do better. And I mean, that doesn't always work, because sometimes people don't want to be told that, and they think you're bossing them around or you're telling them what to do, and that could make the situation worse. So I think it's just important to try to see what works, see what doesn't, and then just go from there, because what works for this situation might not work for the next one or for somebody else's. And if it does get to that where it's just nothing really seems to be working, I think that it's important to just walk away from them, get out of that environment, get out of the toxic environment that you're in with them. But I don't mean fully quitting on them. I think it's important to just give them some time to really think about the situation and just chill for a minute. Because especially if one of you is really worked up, you can say things that you would later regret. You can do things that you would later regret. And you can do something that maybe is just making the situation a lot worse. So I think just taking a moment, or taking however long really, to just kind of chill, regroup, and then try again. So if that means you have to just walk away from them for a bit, just let them think about it and evaluate the relationship or lack thereof. Because I'm sure that you've heard the saying, you always want what you can't have. So if you kind of step away for a bit, hopefully they'll realize they've hurt you and you're not going to be putting up with it any longer. And hopefully from that, a change or an effort to change will just really come. And, it's going to take time. It's not going to be just like an overnight thing. But I think that if the effort's there, then you can consider it a win. They're trying to change. They see what they've done. They see that they've hurt you. And if they're trying to change, they're trying to make it right. They're trying to fix it. They don't want to do it again. But at the end of the day, I think the most important thing you can do for them, for you, for this whole situation is to pray for them. Because at the end of the day, you're never going to be able to change them, because you're only responsible for yourself. You can only control yourself. You can hopefully help them move towards changing and becoming a more considerate person. But I think that prayer is really important, to ask God to really grab hold of their hearts, take control of their hearts, and just guide them back. All right, so that's the end of this episode of My Unprofessional Opinion Podcast. I've been your host, Angela. Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for new episodes every Wednesday. I'll see you guys next time. Bye, folks.